Well, good. Thanks, everybody, for coming. Welcome to another DeFi Raiders AMA. I'm Degenic. I'm here with Mr. Function and the DeFi Prince of Stronghands Protocol. They're a multi-product ecosystem that started out on Chronos and now have expanded beyond that. And we're super excited to learn more about the team and the history and the project.
Yeah, thank you very much for hosting us here, guys. Great to be here at DeFi Raiders. I'm Don Function, original developer and architect of Stronghands Protocol. Originally started out as Stronghands Money, and I just want to say I'm really privileged to be here and share with everybody about the project today. I do have my offsider DeFi Prince here as well. I'll let him introduce himself in a sec. But let's see if we can share all about what we do, and we'd be happy to answer questions if you guys have any as well.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks so much for joining us. And let's make this, as informal and conversational as we can. I think that's the most fun way to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
So if you guys would just like to get us started off, with background and a little introduction to how you met and how and how you got to DeFi and things of that nature, that would be great.
Yeah, sure. I guess I'll grab the mic on that one first then. So. Yeah, I guess my journey in crypto almost starts back in 2019 when I'd first started exploring the nature of decentralization, and I'd actually rolled across Ethereum Classic was my first chain that I'd encountered. Chain ID 61, man, those were some days. I was sort of more a web developer back then, but over time I'd sort of started learning how to write Solidity and smart contracts, and then eventually started working with dApps and all that sort of thing. I think my path sort of followed Ethereum Classic to Tron to Ethereum, and then after that I think was BNB and so on and so forth. It's been a bit of a ride. I've been with a couple of different projects here and there, but most notably definitely Stronghands Protocol, DGen Protocol as well. Those guys over there are great. Yay. Prince, your turn, man. Where'd you come from?
Well, I got into crypto in November of 2021, basically. So around the time where Crypto.com's marketing campaign was really robust, and they basically got me into crypto. I've heard about Bitcoin before that time, but I had recently turned 18, and I'm like, you know what? Let's actually get in this thing. I was growing increasingly distrustful, the financial system as well, and was, looking into decentralization as well. And that just pushed me to where I am here today. Besides that, I am the community manager and writer over at Stronghands Protocol. I basically met Don Function over here as the result of the partnership between Guar Money and, at the time, Stronghands Money, back in spring of 2022. And shortly afterwards, around the summertime, I started writing articles about my experience in crypto, right? Which I will also be writing one about this AMA later throughout the day and the week, as I've been fairly busy lately. But after I started writing articles, I wrote some up about Stronghands, and after that, Donnie onboarded me onto his team, and it's been a heck of a ride since then, and there is plenty more we have in store.
Yeah. So we kind of gathered together, like Prince said, around Guar Money partnership, which was, like I said, in the infancy of Stronghands, we'd first created... So I guess we better start with what we'd actually begun with on Stronghands. We created what we call the Hourglass 3D contract. So if you're not familiar with that, basically think back to dApp Wars of 2019 when FOMO 3D and Proof of Weak Hands was created by Team Just. Those guys created the Hourglass contract originally, which implements some very interesting technologies. We can definitely go in depth with that if you like. But in effect, they had created a contract that simulates a self-contained market. And what I mean by that is that people would be able to deposit currency into the contract, and they would see the price go up. People would be able to obviously redeem the tokens that they got, and the money would come out of the contract. But alongside this, there would be the rising and falling price, thanks to the bonding curve algorithm which was implemented. And alongside this, they also had the referral program built in, so people would be earning from the deposits of others as the word spread about the hourglass. So they had a very interesting concept, but they had their flaws in terms of decentralization. And that's really what Stronghands wanted to do, is to see if we could perfect the idea of decentralizing these applications. So the flaw that they had with Team Just variant was that they had like 20 ambassador spots where people were able to get in before everybody else in the public. And then they also had some administrator controls that meant they could change things like the name of the token and the symbol of the token. And honestly, it just felt so overarchingly controlled. So the first contract that we created as Stronghands Money, like I said, is actually the Hourglass 3D on Kronos. And that's about the time when I'd encountered DeFi Prince to begin with. So we had a bit of traction there. It wasn't terribly much, but we garnered a few audience members. Shortly after the Hourglass, we created Stronghands Dex, which is also a fork of the Uniswap V2 standard. That also was on Kronos, and we were exclusively a Kronos project for a while. But of course, as the team grew and as the project has expanded, we've become multi-chain as well.
Very cool. So tell us, is there anybody else on the team?
Yes.
And he's gone. that was perfectly timed, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Besides us two, we have Manchard and Duke Ferdinand.
I don't know what just happened there. Sorry about that, guys. Yay. So we got two developers behind the curtain. We have Duke, who joined us most recently. He is a front-end specialist, specializing with React and several other cool technologies, Next.js, and a lot of databasing tech. He joined me as a colleague on Stronghands shortly after he said to me that he was looking for a side project to work on. Last year, with all the layoffs in the Web 2 world, shall we say, his schedule was looking kind of empty, and he was really looking for something to sink his teeth into. No more perfect timing could have been asked for when he joined the team, because he was able to jump in and immediately rework our front end that we display at our website, stronghandsprotocol.org. Slightly before Duke, we also have our other developer, Manfred. Manfred is particularly good with automation and code refactoring. So typically, Duke and I will create like the first instance of things, and Manfred will quite often comb through the code base and find ways to either automate tasks or make them more efficient, or even find potential weaknesses and exploits within the system. So that way we can make sure that what we're doing is safe and sound for people before we put it out there en masse. So in total, we have 4 on the team. And of course, as we grow bigger, we'll be looking to add more to that as well.
Yeah, very cool. Bigger team than I realized.
Yeah, we did ask if the guys wanted to come along, but they're both more of, see, we're more behind the curtains. You guys are great on the mic, so we'll let you guys handle this one.
Yeah, that's fair. Good to let people specialize.
That is it. Yeah.
So I'll let you pick our next topic. I'm curious about then what the current project or set of projects are and what your near future plans are. But I'm also curious to talk more about decentralization and your and I know this is something, because I remember early on in the first Dex I asked something about changing the emissions, and I was very surprised when you said not possible, and I learned something about decentralization that day.
Yeah, so I got to admit, that's one of the things that has been continually growing and evolving as we've built out Stronghands Protocol. Originally, I as the green sort of developer that I was, and green meaning, of course, new and introduced to the space, I thought that decentralization simply meant that once a contract is out there, the administrator or developer can't do shit to change it. Pardon me. Can't do anything to change it or to alter its behavior. But of course, I've learned a lot more since then. So yeah, the first instance of the DEX, when we were emitting SMX token as the reward for providing liquidity, and then of course staking those LP tokens. We created some synthetic style staking contracts. You might know about Synthetics Network and everything that they do. We borrowed their staking pool technology to allow people to earn rewards for participating in the DEX. But yeah, we were very limited in our capacity because of the way I designed those contracts. I'd sort of set them one way and sort of taken my hands off it. And yeah, that was sort of very limiting. So, but as we've sort of grown as a protocol and grown with audience members, we can see that there are a lot more ways to handle decentralization. And one of the ways that we are most fascinated with right now is community-based governance and ownership. So that's one of the things that we're going to be addressing with one of our most recent projects that is in the midst of building funds to launch right now, SDE token. Yeah.
Very cool. So I have multiple questions here, and I love that you mentioned Synthetics, who we've talked to here as well, and who I think are among the leaders in community-based governance, precisely. But why don't we? Before we talk more about that, why don't you tell us about the SDE token and the upcoming product?
Yeah, for sure. So first of all, I need to sort of advise that, obviously I mentioned before that Stronghands has grown and gone multi-chain. We want to provide the best that we can for our community, and part of having this community that uses our products and services means that we listen to what they're interested in and what they want for their portfolios. We have had outstanding support and uproar from the community saying, hey, we want to be on Binance Smart Chain, BNB's where it's at. And honestly, with the amount of projects that are growing stronger and building a bunch of liquidity over there, considering that a lot of the projects that we, as the community that we are all invested in mutually, it sort of makes sense to build on BNB as well. So what we're launching over there, like I said, is called SDE token. And SDE is built upon a standard known as ERC 31337. Now, if you don't know what that is, that's basically a standard created by a project known as Rootkit Finance. And in short, what the Elite Token Standard enables is something that they call reusable locked liquidity. What this means is that as the protocol contracts gather more liquidity, we can sort of reuse that again and again and again to create an ever-rising price floor as volume continues to pass through the SDE token through buys and sells and transfers. There's a little 5% fee, a portion of which gets sent to a burn pit, and so the circulating supply is reduced with every transaction. And obviously, as there's supply removed from circulation, that increases the amount of liquidity that is quote-unquote beneath the floor, which we can then sweep and we can use to, again, strengthen the liquidity and reduce volatility in the pair as well, which obviously leads to better trades and better value for everybody that's holding.
That's really interesting. That's got a lot going on. So could you compare that for those of us who might be familiar with related concepts, to say, I think is it XUSD that's a rising floor? I think it was something USD. I think it was XUSD, and then there was Nirvana on Solana. Are you familiar with that one?
I got to admit, I haven't really explored much of the Solana blockchain, although I know that one of my audience members is definitely out there who wants me to explore that more. I have set up a wallet. I just haven't got myself any Sol yet. So I got to admit, there's not really many projects out there that I could compare that to. One of my weaknesses is really that I'm sort of developing a lot of the time, in the lab coding and working on what we're building. So I don't exactly have much time to get out there and make those plays for myself. I might hear about them a week later after everybody's made the bank on them. But yeah, no, for the most part, I'm actually sort of in the lab. if you wanted to compare it to anything else out there, though, I could really only line it up beside the project which I also work on, which is Sheep Token at DGen Protocol. They were actually they were the first elite token on Kronos. We at DGen Protocol managed to beat Rootkit Finance themselves to the punch of deploying on Kronos. They claim they're the first, but really they're not. They actually borrowed our vault staking technology from Sheep Token when they did Upcrow as well. So there's really, like I said, not really much that we can compare it to, but it does behave very similarly to a lot of projects out there.
Yeah, cool. No, that's great background and a hilarious story about sheep.
Yeah, so Sheep Token, honestly, funny story about that again is actually that Sheep Token was created sort of as half a joke over a couple of beers one afternoon. I was actually sat there in the voice chat with the DGens, and I think Black Sheep and Shane were there, and we were all sort of just sitting there shooting the shit or whatever, and yeah, I'd said, hey, well, wouldn't it be cool if the DGens had a token to go into, and they were like, well, yeah, why not? Let's do it. So, yeah, shortly after that, I think it was maybe 10 days, and we had Sheep Token ready to launch actually on the 4th anniversary of DGen Protocol as well. So, needless to say, without going too much further into Sheep Token, is that our team at Stronghands have an incredible amount of experience when it comes to the Elite Token standard. And really, that's the reason why we chose to launch SDE and why we're running an MGE for it right now, is because we feel that we can deliver the best value understanding that technology.
Yeah, that's very cool. No, it's great to be out in front with something is a great opportunity in this space.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess really I can't mention Elite Token technology and us using it without also mentioning the source of where we got that. Because in truth, despite the fact that it's our own research and everything that we've done to hone our own variants here, I must actually credit Sidekick Finance and their developers over there for first introducing me to Elite Token technology. All the way back at the start of 2021, I think it was, they launched their token Sidekick, or SK. And they made a brilliant demonstration, raising over 1,000 BNB for their MGE. An MGE, by the way, is a market generation event. It's basically a mechanic for a fair launch where everybody can contribute, everybody gets tokens straight out of the gate, and that's it. All of the raise is used to create a two-pair fair market for people to participate in from day zero. So yeah, Sidekick sort of introduced me to the tech. I sort of practiced with it a little bit, made Sheep Token, and over the last year or so, we've honed that technology and those skills to create now SDE integrated with Stronghands decks on BNB.
Yeah, very cool. That's exciting. So, and then you've also got the Hourglass contract still running on Kronos and Polygon and BNB as well.
And Phantom now as well.
Welcome to Phantom.
Thank you very much. Yeah. So, the Hourglass contract. Yeah. Now we did kind of go on a bit of a deviation from that, didn't we? Yeah. So the Hourglass contract really was the first demonstration of decentralized technology that we could offer to people. I think the most appealing thing that we did was we removed the ambassadors, we removed all the admin controls, so there is literally no possible way that any address at all has a pre-advantage over anyone else. It's 100% open-ended where you can participate if you want to, or you can choose not to, but there's no admin advantage, there's no ambassadors, no extra fees for anyone, no dev fees either, which we think is pretty cool. People like hearing no dev fees when it comes to dApps like that. And really, the Hourglass has been the centerpiece of our deployments as we've been building out the decks as well. We've always said that part of our intention is that once the dex sort of takes off on each of the chains that we have it on, which at the moment is Kronos, BNB, and Matic, that once we start building up some volume, we're going to feed part of the trading fees into what we call the price floor mechanic for the Hourglass. Now, we mentioned price floor within SDE, and that is a brilliant concept, I think, because, like I said, we've also implemented that on the Hourglass. So it works a little bit different, though, and the price floor, what it does for the Hourglass is it actually holds some 3D tokens itself. So it, just like any other address or player holding onto those tokens, can earn dividends in the form of the base currency that is deposited and withdrawn from the 3D contract. As the price floor earns those dividends, it can only compound them into more tokens. It can never sell its tokens. It can never liquidate its position. It can never transfer those tokens anywhere else. So overall, as the token supply is expanded, it keeps getting locked up and removed from circulation in that way, so that even if theoretically every person, every human account sold all of their 3D tokens, there would still be liquidity, volume, value, and a price, thanks to that price floor contract holding its position, in effect, holding the bag or being the last man standing.
That's fascinating, and it seems like in that scenario, if you had enough volume where the price floor owned 50%, maybe it would be a little higher than that, of the supply, and kept compounding, you would start to see exponential growth of price.
That's pretty much it, and that's exactly what we're trying to do. Like I said, once the volume of the DEX is built up, one of the things we want to do is start feeding a bit more volume directly into that price floor contract, because it is basically the last man standing of the floor, and since it can never destroy its position, it's a great way to increase the price and the overall liquidity available to those who would like to redeem and take away some profits or whatever. I need to minimize this other Telegram. It is distracting as all hell.
So now, what's your approach to driving volume to the DEXs?
So we're sort of trying to form partnerships with different communities out there, different projects that are looking for more to give their audience as well. We're a firm believer in the idea that when one project helps another, both of them become mutually stronger. So yeah, basically, what we're doing is we're reaching out to those that might need a better DEX or a better deal. And one of the first things that we're offering those projects is the ability to retrieve some of the trading fees that their two best pairs generate. Actually, our marketing line on the DEXs right now is that if a project moves its liquidity to Stronghands DEX on BNB, Crow, or Matic, we can and will refund up to 50% of the trading fees generated on the two best pairs of that project's token. So that means, and I defy anybody to find how PancakeSwap or any of those other DEXs do that for projects, right? But basically, that allows us to say, well, we don't exactly need your token, and we don't want to sell your token when we take the DEX fees and give them out to the SDE holders. But we recognize that your token is valuable to you. So let us give your token back when we sort of separate the LP fees that we take, and we'll keep the other side. So you guys can do what you want to with your token, reuse it, burn it off, do whatever you need to do to make your community stronger. And we'll use the base side, whether that's BNB, FTM, Crow, Matic, whatever it is that it's paired up with, or even a stable coin. And that's what we'll use to increase our side of the deal. So really, again, it's all about mutual advantage and working with those other projects to give them the best that we can. And that's sort of how we aim to drive volume, is just slow, steady, and strong partnership building with those that are looking for, like I said, just a better deal out there.
Yeah, cool. That's a nice approach that doesn't involve, inflationary, and therefore unsustainable emissions of your own token.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we really wanted to avoid. We did sort of run a little bit of an experiment on Kronos with an inflationary token a while ago known as SMF. We actually migrated the SMX token into SMF. We gave people who had SMF prior to the farm of that opening up. What we did, however, as project leadership, we ended up pausing that farm and killing the emissions on that, simply for the fact that it was going to be unsustainable without some kind of burning mechanic to reduce the supply. Now, given that we were trying to focus on forming partnerships with other projects and, with the market taking the downturn that it did, we thought, maybe now is not the right time to introduce yet another inflationary asset. I mean, people were sort of feeling sore about inflationary mechanics at that time as well. So we didn't really think it made much sense to continue that on. What I will put out there, though, for anybody who does listen back to this and anybody who is there, if you have SMF tokens on Kronos that belong to the Stronghands Money Farm, there is intention for us to set aside some of the SDE token and get you guys migrated over to BNB with that as well. So you can't get SMF anywhere at all. It's not tradable. It's not listed anywhere. We don't even have it on our decks or any liquidity for it. It's just those who were farming it at that stage. But one of our other principles that we firmly believe in here at Stronghands Protocol is that we do not leave community members behind. If we do something on chain, if we create a project or a DApp of some kind, and you're participating in that, if we decide that we're going to do something else or make a big change, we're not going to leave you behind. We're going to make sure that we carry those people forward. Because that's the one thing that I think really leaves a sour taste in people's mouth is when a project changes and not for the benefit of everybody, but maybe just the whales or maybe just a certain group. We don't think that's the way. We think everybody should move with the project. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great approach, right? So now let's talk a little bit more about community governance and just community management as well. I think kind of are related topics. So there's both the tech aspect to this of whose governance module would you eventually use, or would you try to build your own to get to the on-chain governance? Is on-chain governance a goal? But then there's also the creating a community that's going to govern the protocol productively part of this.
So
go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and I'm glad that we're running down this avenue. So, as I said right at the very beginning of this AMA, I was the original developer and sole architect of Stronghands Protocol. I created it with the idea to give people decentralization. But from the outset of creating Stronghands, I'd thought that I would lead this kind of the same way as Chef Nomi did with Sushi Swap, minus the $14 million payday he tried to take, if you know what I mean. So what I mean by that is that Chef Nomi created Sushi Swap with the idea that he would run as the lead governor, that the one that could control everything with a guiding hand. And what would happen then is that once the community could prove that they were able to self-govern in a somewhat responsible fashion, whether it's through farming or through staking or through some other means of token-based governance, then he would sign the governance over to like a voting contract or a proposal-based contract. And so we really want to sort of follow the same model. We've borrowed a lot of notes from Sushi in that regard, but we're also very keenly looking towards projects like Curve and Yearn Finance for the way that they do governance. One of the most notable things that we're really fascinated about is how Yearn Finance is taking advantage of the Curve Finance protocol and how their governance works. One of the things that I got into a while ago is known as the STY Curve Vault. And basically what that does is that earns more of the Curve token, and it uses Curve token to take advantage of the bribes that people put up to lobby votes for whatever proposal on Curve. And so we really want to build that similar sort of system, not make it easy enough for people to just get tokens and create a rubbish proposal, but something that means they actively have to participate in what's going on to be able to have that voice. So what we're looking at first is that SDE token will be created and put out there. The first layer of staking in that will be called XSDE. And that's basically what our equivalent of Y-Curve would be, is that we have various vaults or strategies where people can earn governance rights through XSDE to create proposals and vote upon the ones that they see most fit to govern the protocol. Obviously, this system's going to be implemented once we're finished building out, and we've got a long way to go before that's ready. But at the moment, community governance is sort of de facto left to our NFT holders. And we have some of those too. So the NFT project that we're running is known as the Degen Donnies. If you can see my profile picture here on the Discord or on the Telegram or on my Twitter profile, you'll see the green alien with the top hat and the mustache. That's sort of how I envision myself in the digital world. And what I did is I created 1,000 variants of that profile picture with various traits, sunglasses. Some are smoking cigars. There's a couple with a few horrible smiles. There's different skin colors and different colors of the Stronghands logo on those as well. But there's only 1,000 of them, and they get minted for a cost of 50 DAI each, or $50 each. What we do with that money is we throw it at our partners at Margin Syndicate, where they're sort of operating a hedge fund. They trade the funds for us. They give us the profits each month, and we gift those profits out to the NFT holders. At the moment, because we're lacking anything of a tokenized governance system, we sort of ask the NFT holders what they think would be the best way to go when there's, like a minor change or something like that coming up. Because what we sort of feel is that they have demonstrated a core focus into the latest stage of our project, which is to mint an NFT and to join the private Discord channels that we've created in that regard. Obviously, that'll change when SDE takes off, but yeah, we've always tried to consult the community in every way that we can when it comes to upgrading the protocol or making big changes.
Yeah, no, and I can attest to that because actually, and I had forgotten until you just mentioned it, but I'm an NFT holder and have been since they launched.
Hey, there you go.
But it has been such a mellow project that I haven't ever had to think about it. Other than when I pop into your Discord to check things out.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is, like, we are pretty quiet, we have been for a while, but like I said, we've been focused more on building the project and building the offerings that we're going to bring to people before we get out there. There's nothing worse than putting your ideas out there and saying, oh yeah, we're going to do this and this and this and this and this, and then everybody's ready and then they're like, well, where is it? Oh, it's 6 months down the track and we need more money for it. No.
Right. Well, of course, the NFTs with Margin Syndicate have just worked since launch. It has just worked. Haven't had to think about it. Just money shows up.
That's exactly it. See, what we do is, like I said, the Margin Syndicate, they produce the profits for us through their mass hedge fund, which I think is actually weighing in at about $1.85 million total right now between all of the funds that they manage. We have an account size of roughly $27,000, so they're sort of trading with that for us at the moment. And yeah, on the first of every month, we pause the NFT minting contract. That is while there's still NFTs to mint, of course, and we gift out those profits between all of the NFT holders. So not that we like to think of this as an investment product, we like to think of it as a profile picture that gives a gift each month. If you did want to think of it in terms of returns or investment, for the $50 that you pay to mint one item, the people who minted and got paid on the first gift out, they are at, I think it's something like 77% ROI in the 5 months that it's been operating. So.
Yeah, that's incredible. It makes me regret not being so lazy to do it on more wallets.
Well, that's actually the interesting thing as well is, like I said, we're always listening to the community for how they'd like to see things being run. And like I said, the NFT holders are the de facto governance right now. So one of the biggest outcries that we had from the community is to move the NFTs to BNB. And not only that, but also effect some changes that allow them to obviously ape a little bit harder in terms of getting those NFTs. So at the end of this month, and actually over the next 2 days or so, I'll be furnishing the code for the NFTs to airdrop 1-for-1 any NFTs that a Donny holder has. You'll get those NFTs on BNB at the same wallet address, and we'll actually be enabling a couple of new features. We're going to knock off the mint cap of 5 items per wallet, so you can have as many as you want from the one wallet. And we're also going to introduce batch minting, so that way you only have to pay one gas fee to get multiple items if you wish. That's actually in stark contrast to the current limitations where there's a 5 item per mint cap, and that's on Ethereum with just single minting per transaction right now. A little bit too costly at the moment, and of course we want to get everybody involved as much as we can, so we're effectively changed to BNB so it's more affordable and more volume enabling for more people.
Oh yeah, they're very cool. Good solution. There's also, just so you're aware, a project called Moonshot Garage that has an ETH minting rollup that allows multi-mints for super cheap gas on ETH. I don't know the technical details though, but it's probably worth seeking them out. And
Definitely.
now we've actually got somebody raising their hand in the audience. Should we start taking some questions?
Yeah, let's start taking some questions. I'd love to hear from some people.
All right, HGG Young Savior, welcome to the stage. Hopefully you haven't gone AFK because your hand was up for a while.
Welcome.
Yeah, hello, how are you? Good evening. How are you doing?
Great, thank you for raising your hand. What's your question?
Yeah, my question is for Stronghands protocol is that, yeah, we've been seeing a lot of protocol projects right now, and let me just ask that this question is that concerning the hacking and your audit. Have you been audit, and how strong is your security aspect in terms of allowing hackers into your protocol?
Great question. So with regards to our security and audits, we don't actually have any official audits right now, but one of the things that we pride ourselves on is the fact that we use battle-tested code wherever we can. So starting with the DEX that we've created, Stronghands DEX, like I said, that's forked from the Uniswap v2 protocol. And I think the only things that we changed in those contracts was actually the symbol for the LP token, and of course the name of that token as well. So it more closely identifies with Stronghands than Uniswap. So if there was an exploit that was listed with the Uniswap v2 variant, then obviously that would be with Stronghands as well. But given that Uniswap v2 has stood the test of time, we sort of believe that that's a fairly solid base to build upon. We do obviously intend on getting audits done in the future, but right now, as we are still a grassroots movement, we don't have a massive angel investor behind us or anything. No massive amount of money. It's a question of affordability, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, thank you for your question. I hope that sort of answers what you were asking.
Yeah, thanks for your question. I usually ask that one, but I was going to skip it today since you guys are on like project number 5 here, and I know you pretty well.
Always good for the audience to understand what the security arrangements are, and I'm glad that question is being actively brought up, because it means that people are still being vigilant about their security and about their safety on chain, which actually makes me very happy. So thank you again for your question. That's a great one.
Yeah, thank you for the answer. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Do we have anybody else at the moment?
And please feel free to chat at us in AMA chat above or in the show chat to the right. Any of the chats, except general chat. I won't see general chat.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
Pardon
me, it's still early morning here.
Yeah, right. So anyway, if we don't have any questions immediately, would you like to talk a little, I know we've covered a lot, but are there any things in terms of upcoming events, roadmap or partnerships that you'd like to talk about?
So realistically, like I said, we're launching SDE token at the moment, and we're running an MGE, a market generation event raise for SDE. So what we're actually asking people is to contribute BUSD on our website, stronghandsprotocol.org. And basically, when you contribute BUSD to that effort, that helps us to reach our soft cap of 100,000 BUSD. Once we reach that mark, we intend to launch SDE so that people can get their tokens, start staking, start earning more rewards, and feeling the larger effects of what we're building out. That's really where the core focus is right now, is really sort of garnering that liquidity that we need to make those parts most effective. Partnership-wise, I don't know that we have anything official to announce at this stage, but we are reaching out to partners or projects like Sidekick, like Guamoney. We've recently gotten in contact with Space ID, which is like an Ethereum name service style thing on Binance Smart Chain. So we're looking to integrate those guys into our front end as well. I think we are also integrated with Kronos ID, which is, again, an Ethereum name service style thing on Kronos. We're yet to find an equivalent of that for Matic, but the cool thing is that we're looking to integrate those style of services on the DEX front end, on our website, and basically in anything else that we create as well. Because what we feel is that having those short names like that, whether it's donfunction.bnb or stronghands.bnb or whatever like that, is a lot simpler of a solution to keep addresses safe and to make sure you're sending to the right locations and all, without the possibility of address poisoning vulnerabilities or transaction poisoning attacks, which we've seen has been quite prevalent in the space recently. Mainly we're focusing on SDE because we want to be able to get that off the ground as soon as we can, and as soon as we do, that's really when the building can start. If you have some spare BUSD at all, head over to our website, because when you contribute, you get tokens straight off the bat as soon as the market is created and opened up. So you'll be able to stake and earn benefits from people who are buying into the project as soon as it opens. You'll be in the best spot that the Stronghands protocol can offer in that regard.
Yeah, very cool. So that's stronghandsprotocol.org, and that's BUSD on BNB chain.
Correct. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, cool. This has been just a pleasure. It's been great to meet you both. DeFi Prince, would you like to get a couple of comments in here?
I do apologize. I've kind of been hogging the mic here. Hey.
No worries, man. One thing, Donnie, have we talked about Sacrifice 3D yet? I
no.
believe we have.
No, we haven't, but you know what? I'm going to let you hold on to the mic so you can sort of explain a little bit about that one. I'm going to take this moment to grab a drink of water.
You know what? Sure thing. So one little feature we have with our 3D contracts that actually provides extra utility and an additional burning mechanism to help pump the price is a little game called Sacrifice 3D. Currently, it is most functional on Phantom, as it's still being worked out on the other chains due to the higher gas prices. So those contracts will be redeployed. Basically, how it works is that there are 5 players in a game, right? Who each, currently, given the example on Phantom, they deposit 0.1 Phantom each, right? And there are 4 winners who will get 0.12 Phantom back, and then a loser who loses their tokens. However, they don't actually lose their tokens. There is also a prize for the loser, which is the dividends collected by the contract as the game has been played during that round. So there will be certain situations where the loser will actually get more of a reward than the winners, and everyone will be a winner because the Sacrifice 3D contract actually holds some of the 3D tokens as well and collects dividends just like any other address. So that's a pretty cool game we've been working out and are actually planning on further improving it.
Oh, very cool. Love to hear about new terminal utilities.
That's one of the things that we're definitely looking forward to is the ability to retrofit that to other projects. Whether it's creating an hourglass style scenario where projects can put their tokens into that, or whether we create a custom variant that retrofits the 3D the Sacrifice game to the token of the community already. It basically feels a little bit like Russian roulette, but everybody's still a winner. Nobody's getting a bullet, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and of course, most of us are gamblers here in this space anyway.
There is that, and so I have a feeling that with the custom variants that we're creating and with the upgrades that we intend to bring to our variants of the Sacrifice contract as well, there are going to be a lot of people who will be very interested to take part in that. So we're looking forward to bringing that to the foreground as well.
Yeah, very cool. That's a nifty utility. I like it a lot. Well, cool. Anybody else have any questions? Anything? Have we forgotten any products? You guys have a ton of them.
Yeah.
I think we've just about covered everything at this stage between the Hourglass, 3D, Sacrifice, MGE, the decks, the NFTs. I think that's just about the lot at this stage.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, I guess we can wrap things up then.
Yeah. Guys, I just want to say before we do wrap it up that, look, I appreciate everybody who has turned up in the audience today, the people who have come along to hear about Stronghands Protocol. I do appreciate your time. And, of course, the question from AGG, thank you very much for that. Yeah, if you guys have any questions at all, if you'd like to learn more about the project, or, of course, if you want to get involved, you can find all of our social links at the bottom of the page at stronghandsprotocol.org. We're on Telegram, we're on Discord, we have Instagram, TikTok. I think we've also got, I don't know how many different networks we're on, but we also have the multiple accounts of the DeFi Prince. And so, Prince, did you want to sort of list off where you're publishing that information for people as well?
Sure thing, actually. As for Stronghands Protocol updates, I currently have a blog on Publish0x, as well as one on Medium, where I cross-post different posts about all the wonderful things we have to offer here at the Stronghands Protocol. Furthermore, I have a Twitter and Instagram where I also post, and just as of recently, a TikTok. So I'm honestly curious how that's going to turn out in terms of community engagement and just interacting and meeting new people, right? And, I just love seeing fresh faces in the community. Besides that, Donnie and I actually host a weekly Twitter space on Twitter called the Stronghands Protocol Fireside Chat. So that's also another nifty thing we've been doing in terms of community outreach. And we've been getting a bunch of different projects to come on and talk about what they have to offer. And we just have so much innovation flowing through that space. We welcome any of you guys to pop in on there someday and talk about anything crypto related that you guys want to talk about. Everyone's welcome.
Yeah, very cool. And of course, please feel free to come shill it when over here when you guys are doing it, so our community gets notified.
Sure thing, man.
And cool. And yeah, we look
Thanks.
forward to seeing future Medium articles, and TikTok is certainly an exciting space to be exploring for crypto. You get to be an early mover there.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I think that just about wraps it up then.
Yeah, looks that way. Well, so yeah, DeFi Prince, Mr. Function, thanks so much for joining. It's been a pleasure. Thanks to our audience as always. We appreciate the questions, the engagement. And yeah, if you're listening to this on YouTube for the first time, please like and subscribe. And yeah, I've been DeGenic, and this is DeFi Raiders AMA with Stronghands Protocol.